Miss GoElectric here. Now, I have reviewed about 100 e-bikes and I absolutely love riding those around, and I want to be able to go further and see more places. So I decided that I needed to get my motorcycle endorsement. Even though this video is a review of the Ryvid Anthem electric motorcycle, I want to take this opportunity to talk about my experience going from e-bikes to electric motorcycles. After that, I'll tell you about the specifications, features, how it rides, and I'll share my final thoughts about the Ryvid Anthem. A few months ago, I signed up online for a motorcycle safety course at a local community college. At that point, I had my team contact Ryvid to see if they were willing to lend one of their electric motorcycles so that I could learn how to ride on one of their bikes. Luckily, Ryvid agreed, and I was really excited to be able to learn on one of their bikes. Unfortunately, when I arrived the very first day of the course, they told me that I was not allowed to ride my bike at all, that I had to ride one of their gas-powered bikes. Now, I was very disappointed, and on top of that, I had no experience with a clutch. All I've had experience with is automatic transmissions or a dual clutch paddle shifting transmission. I struggled a lot with learning how to shift, and what was even more frustrating was that I knew that I wasn't going to use that knowledge because I'll never ride a gas-powered motorcycle. I talked to my instructor about learning on an electric motorcycle, and he told me that I would want to go back to a gas-powered bike with a clutch because they are more precise. But I know that is not true because when you shift, you have to engage the clutch, and there's a brief period of time where you don't have any control of the acceleration. And then you have to shift with your foot, and it's easy to grab the wrong gear, and there's potential then to get into an accident. Eventually, I did get the hang of it, and I got my motorcycle endorsement. That means I could finally ditch those gas bikes and have some fun on the Ryvid Anthem. So why did I choose the Ryvid Anthem as my first electric motorcycle in the transition from e-bikes? Well, let's get into the specifications and features and find out.
The Ryvid Anthem is a DOT and NHTSA-compliant urban commuter electric motorcycle designed and built in California. The total length is 77.56 inches, 31.02 inches wide, and 51.5 inches high, including its mirrors. The wheelbase is 52 inches and the ground clearance is 7.5 inches. Its air-cooled brushless DC motor runs at 72 volts and can hit 6,500 RPMs. The motor has an IP67 rating for water resistance. The drive unit is integrated into an aluminum die-cast swing arm. It features flux weakening, resulting in higher top speeds at the expense of high-speed torque. Torque at the wheel peaks at 250 foot-pounds with 20 horsepower, which is about on par with a 200cc motor. The Anthem's default 3-phase 72-volt controller peaks at 250 amps. Ryvid sells an ASI controller upgrade which increases horsepower from 20 to 27 and boosts torque to 334 foot-pounds at the wheel. The clutchless direct drive has a final drive ratio of 4.7 to 1 and utilizes a Continental Synchroforce carbon belt protected by a full cover. Ryvid offers an optional 3.6 to 1 gearing ratio for better high-speed efficiency at the cost of acceleration. Ryvid advertises a top speed of 75 miles per hour plus with a fully charged new battery. We observed 84 miles per hour under perfect conditions. Range is enabled by a 4.3 kilowatt-hour removable battery with nominal operation at 72 volts and 85 volts when fully charged. The official range figure for the Anthem is up to 75 miles. Ryvid claims that a rider moving at a constant 55 miles per hour can expect 46 miles with 100% battery health. Highway city combined range is listed as 57 miles. At constant 70 miles per hour, 35 miles is a reasonable maximum expectation. These figures are based on the Urban Dynamometer driving schedule in alignment with the Society of Automotive Engineers J2982 City Test Duty Cycle, with highway range based on a 0.7 coefficient of drag on the frontal area of 5.65 square feet, along with a 150-pound rider and 10 pounds of gear. Weather conditions, rider weight, apparel and baggage, and terrain are among the factors affecting real-world range. The battery weighs 87 pounds and the enclosure features an anodized aluminum skid plate which offers protection while riding and while handling the battery off the bike. A safety switch prevents the throttle from engaging if the battery isn't fully secured to the frame. The Anthem has an integrated 3.3 kilowatt charger and comes with a 110 volt cable that can provide a charge from 0 to 100% in just over 3 hours. A 240 volt cable can provide a charge from 0 to 100% in just under 2 hours. Ryvid sells an optional J1772 adapter, also known as a J-plug connector. It allows Anthem riders to charge using level 2 electric vehicle supply equipment. Electricity costs vary regionally, but I pay about 13 cents per kilowatt hour. That means I pay about 56 cents for a full 4.3 kilowatt hour charge. Ryvid recommends discharging to about 25% during the first 5 cycles, then charging fully to help the battery management software balance and calibrate. During my first 5 cycles, I noticed some state of charge display figure inconsistencies as this process took place. The Anthem is one of few electric motorcycles which allows the batteries to be safely and easily removed to store them indoors where temperatures are moderate in order to improve battery health. When the battery has been fully charged and discharged 1,200 times, Ryvid expects a 20% degradation in capacity. That represents about 60,000 miles of riding. Ryvid sells additional batteries for $3,995. Overall, the bike has a curb weight of 313 pounds with the battery and a 50-50 weight distribution. It weighs 226 pounds when the battery is removed. The Anthem's frame is made of an ultra-lightweight, cold-folded, corrosion-resistant 316 stainless steel. The frame has 12 pre-installed mounting locations with threaded M6 fasteners to add third-party accessories. The bike comes equipped with Ryvid's hydraulic-powered Ergo Easy ride height adjustable seat to accommodate most rider heights comfortably. The lowest setting is 31 inches and the highest is 34 inches. This feature is also helpful to compensate for passenger weight. The Anthem's maximum payload is 330 pounds. The bike comes in 5 colors including Photon Blue, Atomic Gold, Carbon Gray, Galactica Black, and Rapid White. The panels can be ordered separately and swapped out if damaged or to create a mix and match aesthetic. The front fork suspension is an inverted adjustable dampening cartridge style with 100 millimeters of travel. The rear has a proportional adjustable dampening system with preload and 33 millimeters of travel. The front hydraulic brakes include a 320 millimeter full floating disc with a radial mounted quad piston caliper. Rear hydraulic brakes include a 240 millimeter disc with a twin piston caliper and are operated conventionally with the right foot pedal. The tires are Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4s that Ryvid says are designed for high performance, have all-season capabilities, and are eco-friendly. The wheels are 17 inches with a 5 Y-spoke cast aluminum design. For those frequently riding on gravel and dirt, Dunlop Mutant tires are optionally available for the Anthem. A 4.9-inch TFT LCD display screen provides basic information including speed with reading in kilometers or miles, state of charge, operating voltage and amperage, battery motor and controller temperatures, drive modes, and has a resettable trip odometer, along with day and night modes. It does not offer any over-the-air or app compatibility. The bike comes with 2 key fobs with lock, unlock, and alarm toggle buttons. The bike will only start when a fob is in close proximity.
All right, I locked up the bike and I had set the alarm in that case. I started rolling the bike without the keys nearby, and the alarm started to go off and it locked up the rear wheel for a brief moment, but I was still able to roll it around, and then it did it a second time, but it was a little bit longer of a period of time for the alarm that went off, and it locked the rear motor for a longer period too. But ultimately, once that stopped, I was able to roll it again. So technically you could steal this bike. It's really more of a deterrent than anything.
The Ryvid Anthem offers a 57 cubic inch rubber-lined storage area with rain drainage and a USB 2.0 charge port. Ryvid claims it can enclose 6.6 inches in length for a phone or the J1772 adapter. The headlamp, taillight, license plate lights, and turn signals are all LED, with a daytime running light up front, low and high beam switches, and a hazard flasher function. Other controls mounted on the left side of the handlebars include a horn, a momentary reverse mode button, limited to 5 miles per hour, and the regenerative braking trigger. On the right side of the handlebars, there's a motor cutoff switch and a drive mode toggle button with eco or sport options. The seat height adjustment lever can be activated at any time. The cruise control switch can be disabled by braking or engaging the throttle. Regenerative braking can deliver up to 54 amps of current and can be activated by engaging mechanical brakes. Ryvid's pricing transparency and purchasing process is very different from most other electric motorcycles on the market. They sell directly, which means buyers can purchase outright or finance the Anthem on their website. The bike is delivered to the buyer's doorstep, ready to ride. I have visited several dealerships testing and buying electric motorcycles from BMW, Zero Motorcycles, and Livewire. Generally speaking, the dealerships add thousands of dollars in fees, resulting in much higher out-the-door costs than advertised. With Ryvid, there are no hidden costs. The bike, shipping, and taxes are shown up front. The order process is about as easy as ordering a new computer or a bicycle. Ryvid support includes a phone number and email. We noticed that email inquiries were not answered very quickly. We'd recommend using the phone number. Ryvid has published clear and detailed instructional videos for most of the common service needs, and their detailed parts catalog makes it easy to get what you need for repairs. The Anthem's frame has a lifetime limited warranty, and the motorcycle parts and battery are covered under a 2-year limited warranty. The Anthem is listed at $6,495 at the time of publishing this review, but some states offer incentives for electric motorcycles, so be sure to investigate those offers. New riders like me can take advantage of a $250 reimbursement credit to cover the cost of a recent basic rider training course. Use the coupon code Miss GoElectric at checkout for a free gift as well.
Now you can see why I chose the Ryvid Anthem as my first electric motorcycle to learn on. But now we have to see how it feels to ride, so let's get to it. All right, and we're off. You know, I have ridden around on this bike for almost 200 miles. My odometer says 183. So I've got a good feeling for this bike so far. And I personally really enjoy the eco mode because it has regen naturally. So when I take my hand and roll it off the throttle, it automatically uses that regen to slow me down, which I'm already used to that in my electric vehicle, my Rivian. So it's great to have on an electric motorcycle and not have to wear those brake pads as much. Now, once you switch into a sport mode, which I'll show you how to do that in a moment when we get up to speed, that's when you have the regen really tampered down, and you would need to use the button on the left side of the handlebars that's on the back side of where your controls are, and holding that down while you want to regenerate. As I am on the eco mode right now at 44% state of charge on that hill that I just crested, I was full throttle and I was hitting about 45-ish. I feel the best case scenario in using the eco mode is really when you're riding around town in slower areas like 25 miles to maybe 45 miles per hour. You can use it up to about 50. But when you really need to get up to speed over 50 miles per hour is when I recommend you get into that sport mode, because you just have more power and it can get you up into those faster speed limits. So let's actually turn it into sport mode right now. Just press the mode button on the right side and you'll see it just picks up the pace so smoothly. You can feel that extra power. And I'm tapping 60 here in a 55 zone pretty easily. Once I get down to about 30% state of charge, that's when I get more limited power, even out of the sport mode. So you can assume that in the eco mode, when you're trying to get up to like 50, 55 miles per hour, even when you're, higher states of charge. But when you start to creep lower towards zero, you lose that power. And the reason why that is important to note, if you travel out somewhere far distance and you need to go on those high-speed roads to get back, your limited power capability might not let you get up to the speed limits that you're required to travel on those roads. They advertise 80 miles of range, but if you're like me and you're kind of out in a rural area where you have roads all around you that are 50 plus mile an hour roads, yeah, this is great to get you from hopping town to town, but then you're zapping your range a lot because you're going high speed and using your high power mode in sport mode to do that. So I would be bringing my cable all the time, and I would be looking out for level 2 chargers. I use an app called PlugShare, which is super useful to find charging stations around the country. Now, although I feel like my use case most often would be a J1772 to use it to go around town and visit different locations to get a quicker charge, I think that the 110 is absolutely sufficient, because even when you plug that into a regular outlet, it can charge 100% in just a couple of hours. So even in an hour, you'd be able to get a decent amount of charge to be able to continue on your journey. So you can find a 110 outlet pretty much anywhere. I mean, if you think about it, not only restaurants or parks or anything like that, but pretty much anywhere that you can find, they're going to decorate with Christmas lights. Now, as far as this bike feels while I'm riding it, especially at high speeds, it feels pretty stable, but I have noticed that I think it's my front suspension wobbling a little bit, bouncing up and down, and you could probably see that on camera a little bit. But when I initially first took this out, I thought maybe it was a wheel balancing issue, and I took the wheel off and took it into a local motorcycle dealership, and they said it was off a little bit, but I'm still getting this bouncing effect, and I think it's just the suspension feel, but I definitely feel confident on this bike. And it doesn't feel too heavy. That's what I really enjoy about it, as far as being a first-time motorcycle rider, is it's extremely manageable. And, you know, I'm not the strongest person in the world, so for me to say that is, you know, I think an opportunity to open it up to a different demographic that is maybe nervous in getting a motorcycle in general because they think they're heavy. But I'm actually going to switch to eco mode again because I'm in the slow speed zone, and I really do love that regen. But even at these lower speeds, one thing is that it is very quiet. And of course, that being electric, but we also have a BMW CE04 that we'll be doing a review on, and that one's quite a bit noisier at slower speeds in comparison to the Ryvid Anthem, and that is one huge benefit for me. I really like a very quiet bike. All right, so I'm just going to take it up and around this bend here, and once I level out a little bit more, I'm going to do a full throttle in the sport mode, and mostly I just want to show you, since I'm at 28% state of charge now, what that's going to look like. So let me give it a go here once I give myself some space between this pickup truck. All right, 3, 2, 1. Very quickly get up to about 46 miles per hour there. Let's slow it down here through these corners. It's another straightaway up here we can try it out. Let's give it a go. I'm in sport mode, 23% state of charge. Let's see how quickly I can get up to speed. I do also like on the screen how big the speed limit reading is, so I can take a glance down and really easily see how fast I'm going. All right, I'm maxed out at 55 miles per hour. About to go up a hill here, so we'll see if it drops. But now I'm at 21% state of charge, pulling 95 amps and 69.6 volts, it says. Now I'm going downhill, so I'm hitting about 60 miles per hour, and you'll see now that I'm under the 20% state of charge. there's a little icon that has started to blink. I'm full throttle still going up this hill and I'm hitting 47. So as far as range goes, I usually am saying an average going from anywhere between 35 miles per hour and about 60 miles per hour regularly on your trips is closer to high 40s to 50 miles of range. And that's why this makes this a really good urban commuter if you are in a city. All right, let's head back and I will share my conclusion on the Ryvid Anthem. Before I get into the conclusion, I just want to remind you that this is vehicle identification number 66. So this is one of the first Ryvid Anthems off the line, and there are going to be opportunities for improvement. Now, I'm going to talk about those improvements that I would like to see, and then we're going to get into all the positive attributes about the Ryvid Anthem, as well as who this bike is for. One disadvantage that Ryvid faces is that it's a small company and it doesn't have much of a physical presence where you can actually go to a retail location and discover the brand or test ride the vehicles or even have service done. I think they only have one service location, and that is in California. That said, I expect the network to grow as the volume of production scales up. And as far as warranty repairs go, you can take this to any motorcycle shop locally and they should be able to do work on it because it is all conventional components. And Ryvid will actually reimburse you for any of those repairs. Now, the Ryvid Anthem is at a price point that is about half of the price of some of the other electric motorcycles that are on the market. So you would think that it's a cheap bike and it has cheap components in that regard. But actually the bike feels pretty solid. Except there are a couple pieces on this bike that feel low quality. And let me point those out to you. First, it has to be this flap that comes up that has a little bit of storage here in the USB port. It just feels very flimsy and thin. Two other parts that I think feel a little cheap are on the battery pack itself, and they're little covers. One is to pull off so that you can unplug the high voltage cables when you take it in to charge. And the other one is the area where you actually plug it in to charge on the front of the battery. And both of those are a little hard to secure back onto the battery itself. And not only that, they have the opportunity to fly away. I've actually seen on some of the forums where that's happened to people. So I think they need to improve the way that it secures on the battery and have a higher quality component there. From an ergonomic standpoint, it's really challenging for me to reach over to the cruise control button and set it while I'm riding. I wish that it was similar to the regen trigger button that's on the other side so that it would be much easier to reach. I also wouldn't mind if they had incorporated a different switch for the turn signals because I leave them on all the time and that just might be me and having to get used to it. But if they don't have it automatically switch off for you after the turn, it would be nice if there was some kind of audible chime to let you know that you left it on. Now, when I'm riding a motorcycle, I'm going to use my phone for navigation because the screen here does not have any kind of map integration, and I'm going to want to keep my phone powered up while I'm riding. So it's great that they have a USB port in here, but the storage in here is not big enough to fit my phone, and I think a lot of people will find that because it is an interesting shape, but also it is compact. I wish that the bike had a way to route a charging cable to my phone. As far as the screen goes, the user interface here is very no frills. It doesn't have any kind of location tracking or navigation or even music integration, but that's okay, especially at this price point. What I would like to see though is the integration of how many miles I have left in my range. It does provide a percentage for state of charge, but I think it would be really helpful to have that mileage reading. They advertise this as a city commuter that gets up to 80 miles of range, but there are going to be people that are going to want to push the limits and take this out on the highway going 80 miles per hour and still achieve that 80 miles of range, and that's just not going to happen. That's not possible. Speaking of range, let's move on to the positive attributes. And the first one has to be that this is going to do exactly what Ryvid said it's going to do. And if you're going 35 miles per hour on average in stop and go traffic, I can see that that makes a lot of sense and you can achieve that 80 miles of range, but also you can reach that top speed of about 35 miles per hour at any state of charge. So this is a city commuter with 80 miles of range or a highway commuter that can get maybe 20 to 40 miles of range. The next positive attribute about this bike has to be the charging. Now, You can plug it into a level 2 charger with the J1772 adapter and have it charged in about an hour full. Or you can bring that 110 cable with you, which is really small and easy to fit into a backpack or anything like that. And that will take a few hours to charge. So no matter what, you're in a pretty good case scenario with the charging experience. And that brings me to the next thing, which is the battery. It is such a genius design. I love that you can pop it off and bring it in for storage for winter climates and things like that, so that you can protect it from extreme temperatures, or bring it in to charge if you don't want to keep it on board the bike. So there's a lot of flexibility and opportunity, and the fact that there's even potential for modularity here, that maybe if Ryvid comes out with a new battery chemistry and they improve the range, you'd be able to swap out the battery and fit it in this space just as well and have an upgraded bike. Speaking of upgradability, they have a new controller that you can buy that improves the power up to 30%. So if you are going to be doing that highway driving, I would highly recommend getting that so that you can have that burst of power. But the other thing is that Ryvid has another bike coming out that is called the Outset, and it uses the exact same battery. So what's kind of cool about that is if you had both of those bikes and one of them had the battery depleted, you could always swap it out from the other one and go and not have to worry about it. It may also be possible that you have one battery and two frames, so you're saving $4,000 on an extra battery. And I think that is just what's so special and cool about the modularity of this battery. Now, speaking of modularity, this looks like they have incorporated a lot of mounting points here. And I know they have a couple accessories, but I'm not sure what they have in store. But I really love the fact that they have taken the idea to manufacture it in a way that has more capability with more accessories. One huge standout feature is the fact that this seat can go up and down, and I have a 36-inch inseam, so having this go all the way up helps provide a very comfortable riding position for me. But when producer Tim wants to ride this bike, he needs to put it all the way down because his inseam is closer to 30 inches. So the fact that you can really get comfortable on this bike, I know some people will rule out a motorcycle because they don't think they'll be able to fit on this, but the wide variety of the height that you can change it to for the seat position, I think is a game changer. Now, being Miss GoElectric, I really like to have a quiet ride, and I've tested out some other electric motorcycles already, and I can say that the Ryvid Anthem is extremely quiet, which I love. And actually, in fact, it is even quieter than some of the e-bikes that I have. And so I'm really impressed with the ability for them to make it extremely quiet. Now, the last great thing about this bike has to be the looks. This is such a cool looking bike, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. Anyone that I drive past, they make a comment, and also my neighbors, they've said it looks really cool. But the great thing about it is that those comments are coming from not only males, but females as well, and people who are young and people who are old. So there's a wide variety of the demographic that would appeal to this bike, not to mention the fact that it doesn't just come in this black color. There are a lot of variety of colors to choose from. There've got to be a lot of other people like me who see a motorcycle and think that they're really loud, they're heavy, they're hard to manage, they don't want to deal with the maintenance, they're very machismo style. And with this, you have none of those negative attributes. It's agile, quick, fun to ride, very precise, and controllable. This is really easy to ride, and I had so much fun learning how to ride on the Ryvid Anthem, and I think it's a perfect transition from e-bike to electric motorcycle. So who is this for? Well, it is for anybody that wants to be riding around having a great time locally. And I really hope that this video inspired some of you to go get your endorsement so that you could get on a new electric motorcycle like the Ryvid Anthem and have as much fun as I have been having, because the value of the cost for what you get out of this bike is pretty much unmatched. Well, I hope this review was really helpful for you, and if you're interested in learning more, then see the link in the description below. And we also have a coupon code to get you something a little bit extra if you end up purchasing a Ryvid Anthem. Well, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.